Hello, my name is Gregory Colin from the Nixeo product team, and today I will give you some tips and tricks to help you build your Nixeo Studio project. So first we will start with some references. First, you should look at the Nixeo documentation website. It contains functional and technical documentation. It contains samples of code you can copy-paste into your project or in Nixeo Studio. So if we open doc.nuxeo.com, we can see that the documentation is divided in different sections. So for example, if we navigate to the server section, you will get detailed information on the installation. You can see here a very popular page on the compatibility metrics. Then we've got information on the different components of the architecture, such as Kafka, for example, upgrade nodes, information about the REST API, and the different components we are using in the platform. Let's say I need some information about the Nuxeo CSV importer. I will use the quick search about Nuxeo CSV. In the case of Nuxeo add-ons, it will always have the same structure. You will have a link to the Nexus University course, then a quick description, how to install the add-on, and how to configure it. As we can see, it contains snippets of code you can copy-paste into your Nexus Studio project. Here we can see an XML extension, for example, extracts from the CSV files. And what is really interesting about the documentation is that it also includes some advanced configuration. So in the case of complex properties, you've got some sample of code here to understand how to handle this case. Then there is Nixeo University website. Nixeo University is a must for any new learner in Nuxeo platform. It contains tailored learning plans depending on your profile. So it can be for end users, architects, developers, or front-end and back-end development, and also for people going to use Nixeo Studio. So if I just jump here, I will land on the learning plan dedicated to Nixeo Studio with all the courses organized in a suitable order so that you don't have to worry about prerequisites. A university course is always structured the same way. So it contains around 3 to 5 videos, and for each video, we make a review of the concepts and then we illustrate it through a use case. On the description, you will find the transcript and also the link to the documentation. You can find in Nixeo University, in the courses by content type menu, exercises for the document import or for Nixeo Studio. So if we have a quick look at the Nixeo Studio exercises, so let's say a practical example to implement structure templates with some instruction, guidelines, and some tips and tricks once again. And when you feel ready, this is a great idea to participate in our Nixeo certification program. Let's have a look now to Nuxeo API Playground. Nuxeo API Playground is a website that is ideal if you want to explore the data structure and test the resources and command endpoints that are available through the REST API. So let's say, for example, I want some information about the file document type. Here it is. So I know all the schemas that are attached to the file document type and all these facets. So let's say I want some information about the Dublin core schema. I've got the prefix, all the properties with their type. Now, if I want some information about documents and to test the REST API, I will go to the resource endpoint, and then we will explore the ID endpoint. So with get, we can find the document by its ID. With put, we can update it, we can delete it, and with post, we can create a document with some custom properties. So let's say here I want to find documents. So I will navigate to the daemon instance that is connected to the API Playground website. I will run the query. I will get the JSON in response with all the properties. It's also great to know that you can inspect the headers and the curl request that was performed. You can also explore the command endpoints, and you can make some tests with the batch upload. Then, if you're doing some UI customization, you should be aware about the Web UI GitHub repository and the Nuxeo Elements repository. Checking the source code is always a good strategy to understand how the application was built. In the case of Nuxeo Web UI, this is really interesting to understand how the slot contributions were done by checking the Web UI bundle file. This can be interesting if you want to create a new menu, for example, in the analytics part, or if you want to update a default behavior. You can also have a look to the different document type layouts. So here for the file document type in edit mode. What is really interesting is to understand how the pages are built in Web UI. So this is done through the Nuxeo document page element. And if you read the code, we can understand how the pages are actually built with the document info bar, the document preview, and the different elements on the right-hand side with the information, the metadata, the collection, etc. So now let's talk about the Nixeo Elements repository. So this is the case, you need to understand a particular element. For this example, I will take this one, the Nixeo tag suggestion. To get more information on the Nixeo tag suggestion, I will simply copy paste it in Google. And the first link lands me to the official Web Components website where all our elements are documented. So for each element, you can see how to use it, the different properties, their default values, and the methods that are available as well as the events. So if I'm taking the Nixeo card element, for example, you can see how to set an icon, how to set a title, if you want to get it open by default or not. And you can read the source code of each element from the GitHub repository that is displayed here. So for the Nixeo card element, all the properties are described in this section. One of the most important resources you should consider is Nixeo Explorer. Nixeo Explorer is a mandatory resource if you need to contribute Nixeo platform, get information on the available operations, or browse the services. Let's say, for example, I need to update the versioning system. So I need to update the policies. So for the versioning service, you've got examples and documentation. And if you need to update it, you've got the code you have to copy paste and update as an XML extension in Nexeo Studio. Let's navigate now to the Operations tab. Here we can read all the operations available in Nexeo platform. A lot of them are exposed directly in Nexeo Studio. If we take, for example, the add permission operation, we can read a quick description with some characteristics. Then we have a table with all the parameters of the operation. And for each parameter, we've got the type, if it's required or not, and the default value. It's also important to be aware of the kind of inputs and outputs. So here it expects document or documents, and same for the output. It can also accept and produce a list of blob, for example, or nothing with void. And in the case the operation is not exposed in Nexeo Studio, you've got the JSON definition you can copy paste in Nexeo Studio registry. To enrich your Nexeo Studio project, it's a really good idea to have a look to our Nexeo Studio community cookbook. It contains a lot of interesting features and visual elements ready to be copy-pasted in your Nixeo Studio project. This project is divided in several sections, so you can either implement some business logic or some visual elements, integrate new templates. If you need, for example, to get a really cool Nuxeo suggestion element, there is a recipe that could be interesting for you. It allows you to replace the default Nuxeo suggestion element by adding thumbnails and some document properties. And if we have a look at the instructions, you can see it's just a matter of copy-pasting some sample of codes in your Nexus Studio project. You may need to create some document types, some page providers, maybe you will need to edit your layout, but at the end, it's really simple. You will find all the documentation links that is related to the recipe at the end of the page. As you may know, the list of available packages for the Nuxeo platform are in the Nuxeo marketplace. To find a package, you can use the search bar or directly browse the different categories that are displayed at the bottom of the page. Before deploying a new add-on, check out the production state and the compatibility metrics at the bottom of the page. It's also interesting to know that we publish our POCs and prototypes under the Nixeo Labs category. These add-ons are not supported, but you can reuse them in your project. On some of them, there is a link to the associated GitHub repository. In this case, this is a Nuxeo Sandbox GitHub repository. Now, let's see the dev tool we need to implement Nuxeo solutions. Thanks for watching.